an update of what we can expect from the weather over the next couple of days, because it is going to be active, unsettled, insert adjective here, but we're going to be dealing with rain and snow showers for at least the foreseeable future. So I wanted to come in and just kind of give a quick look ahead to what we can expect this week, as well as some wintry weather that we'll be dealing with for Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you can give me about 30 seconds to a minute, I'll make sure I get everything working here behind the scenes. But what I will do in the meantime is flip the camera around, show you some of those live conditions across the area, which is actually pretty quiet right now. We've dealt with a few showers and thunderstorms across northwest and west central Montana through the morning hours. Overnight, we had a stronger thunderstorm move through the Kalispell area. It prompted a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Overall, haven't heard too much in the way of impact from that, except for a little bit further to the south and west. We did have a report north of Weeksville, north of the Plains and Paradise areas, of golf ball size hail this morning from that storm that rolled through. So overall, had a couple of impressive stronger storms through the evening and overnight last night. Overall, not expecting as much in the way of those types of thunderstorms, but I won't rule out a few thunderstorms later on this afternoon. So trying to get this to, there we go. But overall, right now, things are pretty quiet across the region. We're starting off with those temperatures in the upper 40s and 50s, and this is going to continue to be the case for the next couple of hours. We will likely see those start to warm up later on this morning over the next hour to two, like we're already seeing in Dillon there at 57 degrees. There are some spotty showers. We'll take a look at radar here in just a moment, but overall, these quiet conditions are going to be sticking around for about the next couple of hours. By this afternoon, though, that will start to change. I think everything's working here behind the scenes while I've been going through this, making sure, yeah, that's working there. And let me spin this back around, and I think we're all good to go. So if you have any comments or questions as we go throughout this update, certainly feel free to ask those. I'll keep an eye on the chat section as we go throughout this. So again, if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, are you ready for a kind of a wet and soggy week, or were you looking forward to more, I'd say, typical spring-like weather like we were dealing with end of last week and early part of the weekend? Warm temperatures, lots of sunshine. I, for one, I'll take a little bit of rain. I think by the end of this week, I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I'm over with it. Let's get back to some sunshine. But overall, that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, as for this for this afternoon, I should say, forecast for today, we're talking temperatures generally in the low to mid 60s for northwest and west central Montana. Right around Butte is where we begin to get that more transition type location. Bozeman, we're likely looking at temperatures still hanging on into the lower 70s this afternoon, but it's really a split decision across the state. You see 61 in Kalispell, but take a look towards Miles City, 91 this afternoon. It's going to be downright hot in eastern Montana, but that's all ahead of the trough of low pressure that is now moving into our portion of the state. This is going to spark off those showers and thunderstorms throughout the day today, and then overnight tonight, that will transition more into southwest Montana, where we're going to be talking about more in the way of valley rain and mountain snow. And now, as for what we're tracking, just the general breakdown of it, we've got a trough of low pressure that's going to be settling into the region really throughout the day today and into tomorrow, but in that Tuesday through Thursday, Friday timeframe is when we're going to see the greatest coverage of showers and thunderstorms for our valleys. Mountain snow is also going to be something we're keeping a close eye on, especially for Tuesday and Wednesday to start. And now going into radar, goes to show you overall not a whole lot of rainfall is happening right now. There was more of it as we got into, say, the 4 to 6 o'clock period. Most of that activity is now shifted out of western Montana now into north central portions of the state, but even that, most of it has begun to dissipate and diminish in coverage. But I am going to zoom in a little bit. There are a few showers towards the northern half of Flathead Lake into the Flathead Valley. So really areas from east of US 93, so Creston up over towards Columbia Falls, Big Fork, Hungry Horse, and then into Glacier National Park. Looking at those light to maybe occasionally moderate rain showers and snow in our higher elevations. Another batch of shower activity that was moving through the southern Sealy Swan earlier, now pushing over here towards Ovando, and then Lincoln, and then eventually further off and across the Rocky Mountain, over into the Rocky Mountain front there, closer to Augusta and Choteau. And then we get further south, they become even more spotty in nature, maybe a few sprinkles right over the Phillipsburg and Porter's Corner area, closer to Georgetown Lake here north of Georgetown Lake, and then a few more showers back into Idaho that may try and cross their way over the Bitterroot Mountains into the central and northern Bitterroot Valley over the next couple of hours. But again, that's just a quick look at radar. It was a little bit more active overnight, through yesterday evening, overnight, and into the first part of this morning. But we aren't done by any means. We are just getting into the start of this. We've got winter weather advisories that will be going into effect later tonight. So looking at 8 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Tuesday. This includes the northwest portions of Beaverhead County, the Elkhorn and Boulder Mountains, the Ruby Mountains, as well as the Gallatin, Madison County Mountains and Centennial Mountains. Overall, we're looking at the potential of about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall overnight tonight for areas above 7,000 feet. And again, this is why those winter weather advisories are in place. One area that we may have to keep a little closer eye on, maybe some more enhanced snowfall, will be closer to the Tobacco Root Mountains, over closer towards the Pony and Harrison areas. Primarily staying in the mountains from there, but Pony is one spot that was designated by the National Weather Service to just keep a little bit closer eye on. Then we have the winter storm watches here in this darker shade of blue for the Beartooth and Absaroka Mountains. That is actually for the Tuesday evening through Wednesday evening time period, with a second wave of moisture that's going to move through as a Yellowstone low develops and tracks a little further to the south. Based on what I'm seeing, it would not surprise me to see either these winter weather advisories, when they run out tomorrow morning, either extended or just reissued for some of these areas due to that potential for more snowfall into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Snow levels will be falling at that point down to around 5,500 feet. So for tonight, we're talking 6,000 to 7,000 feet for the snowfall, but that will drop down to about 5,500 feet, which will bring more of our passes involved for at least the potential of some wet, slushy snow, maybe some travel impacts as well. Something we'll have to keep a close eye on because it's a similar setup to what we saw last week, where we had all of the problems over Bozeman Pass, with Bozeman Pass shut down for a while. I believe it was Tuesday morning. So it's just one of those we'll have to kind of watch and see, especially as we go throughout the day today and into tomorrow morning, what the track of that low pressure system it looks like, and that'll determine a little bit more. So going into Future Tracker, and let me back this up. It's done a good job picking up on, in general, the just very light shower activity across northwest and west central Montana. I think by about midday, though, we're going to see another round of showers and storms develop. And you see those, potentially some of those producing some lightning, I think, for areas from Missoula north towards Polson, and this rough line, and then areas back to the west on Interstate 90 towards St. Regis, Superior, Alberton, at least as long as this particular forecast model comes to fruition. But in general, northwest, west central Montana, be prepared for more scattered showers and storms to redevelop this afternoon. I'm not expecting the same kind of intensity that we saw with some of yesterday's storms that rolled through places like Knox and Heron, near Trout Creek, and then up into the Flathead Valley last night. Those showers overall spotty by the evening, starting to quiet down for areas west of the Divide. But along the Divide and into southwest Montana, you'll notice an increase in this moisture. And that's going to continue overnight tonight. And here is that window. This is looking at midnight. Interstate 15 and east for the most part. But you see all those blues and pinks showing up. That's showing that accumulating snowfall. Here's roughly that zone I was talking about, the Tobacco Root Mountains towards the Pony area. where we could see a little bit more enhancement. Same thing down here towards the Ruby Mountains, that could see some decent snowfall overnight tonight of about 3 to 6 inches above 7,000 feet in most cases. Maybe some of that works its way down to about 6,500. Wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of snowfall into tomorrow morning for places like Georgetown Lake, as well up towards Lost Trail Pass from this band as well. So not necessarily in winter weather advisories there, but something we'll have to keep an eye out on. I think you'll have better chances of some snowfall into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So continuing on, we're still dealing with the valley rain. Bozeman and Jeff, it's looking like a bit of a soggy day for Tuesday with those showers just sticking around off and on. I don't think it's going to be, Bozeman may be one exception to this. It's not going to be raining all day across the region for Tuesday, but they are going to be spotty in nature. This is going to continue into Tuesday, and you notice how we're getting more of that moisture starting to wrap around in this zone, getting more of those darker colors showing up as that low pressure system really starts to take shape. And this is going to continue throughout Tuesday afternoon. More spotty to scattered activity northwest, west central Montana. But watch how these blues really start to expand into Tuesday evening as this low pressure system that's still tracking further to the south, likely into Idaho, begins to gather up a little bit more moisture, tracks through the Yellowstone region, and it'll pinwheel this moisture back around itself up to the north. And right now, the focus does look to be areas from about Dillon over towards Big Sky and south, at least in some of the newer model runs, but there is the potential this may swing all the way back into Bozeman, at least if there's enough cool air in place to have that happen. Though, again, this model finally does it and brings some of that snow into Bozeman, say 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. Same story for Dillon. It's going to be very much a watch and wait type of situation for Wednesday morning in the lower elevations, just to see how much cold air actually gets down to the surface. That's the one struggle with a lot of these Yellowstone lows, is just how much cold air is in place or how much is going to get dragged down. Regardless, I still think we're looking snow levels primarily 5,500 feet and above, and that would bring our passes into play for accumulating snowfall. So Bozeman Pass, Norris Hill, Menida Pass, Reynolds, and Targhee passes down along the state line, where we could be talking about some, say, reduced visibility due to strong winds, some slushy, wet, sticky snow on the roads accumulating at times, and that could lead to some travel impacts. Hopefully we don't have a repeat performance of a week ago with the Interstate 90 shutdown due to the accidents on Bozeman Pass, but just as a heads up, just take it slow. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time if you have to travel out there Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. In general, we're still going to be looking at the rain across the entirety of the area, though the greatest coverage will be, I think, closer to Interstate 15 and east, at least into Tuesday and Wednesday, with more scattered activity west of that location. That said, we're going to continue to be dealing with some pretty hefty precipitation totals, and let's just go through Wednesday evening. I think southwest Montana has the highest likelihood of precipitation totals over a half an inch, and this can be from rain and snow, so a little bit of a combination of the two, especially in the higher elevations. Back into northwest and west central Montana, I still think most areas we're talking about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, with some isolated 1/4 to half inch totals over the next, say, 48 to maybe 72 hours. It is northwest Montana that I think, if you're going to stay dry, that's the area that it's going to happen. This particular set of forecast models, looking at places like Troy over towards Libby, and then right along the Highway 200 corridor, so Thompson Falls, Trout Creek, Paradise Plains, Knox and Heron. Maybe some lesser totals. Not going to get fully into specifics about that, but just in general, less coverage and likely less heavy precipitation for northwest Montana, and then the further south and east that you go, the more likely you'll see heavier amounts of precipitation. And you see over here between Bozeman and Billings, really in that area closer to, say, Big Timber, maybe even Livingston, Columbus, down into Red Lodge, and then into the mountains. We could be talking about some pretty hefty precipitation, maybe 1.5 inches to as much as 3 inches in a few locations. And if I go beyond this, you'll see that just continues to build in. So that just shows we've got more moisture that's going to be on the way. And as I look, I think I didn't get one final graphic in here. Let me pull this up really quick. There we go. So that was just looking through Wednesday evening. Thursday, Friday, we're talking about continued chances of valley rain and some high elevation snow, and looking even into the more extended forecast. I'm talking Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe even into Tuesday. We're still talking about scattered rain showers. This trough is not going anywhere once it gets here, and we're just going to see little disturbances rotating around that low pressure trough. And really the biggest issue with that is just more getting the timing of when we can see the highest amounts of precipitation. So that's why Thursday, Friday, we're going to be dealing with scattered showers. Right now we're keeping that around 50-50 shot, just because there's too much uncertainty to say, oh, Northwest Montana is going to see better chances with that one as compared to Southwest. Something we'll kind of iron out over the next couple of days. But again, the main takeaways, and if you have any questions, this is sort of that last call. Main takeaways for today: we're talking about some scattered showers and thunderstorms redeveloping lunchtime and beyond for northwest, west central Montana. Southwest Montana, I didn't really mention this before, but winds are going to be your biggest problem. We could be talking gusts 30 to perhaps as high as 50 miles per hour, places like Ennis, Dillon, Bozeman. So as I like to joke a little bit, today's the kind of day that your garbage can, if you've got one of those just personal garbage cans out in front of your house, may decide to go and visit your neighbors down the street. At least that's how it was for me back in Texas. We just had, each house had its own little garbage can, and when we'd have those big wind events, a lot of times you would have to go and hunt down your garbage can as it was visiting your neighbor's house down the road. So hopefully not expecting too much in the way, not expecting too much in the way of impact from that. Could see some nasty crosswinds for those north-south roads, so Interstate 15, 287, 191. Also, with those winds, you never know. You could see some small tree limbs start to come down, maybe some power outages if power lines arc, things like that. So hopefully we don't have to deal with any of that, but that'll be the main concern, Southwest Montana. And then we get into tonight, and that's when we're going to start to see some of that rain, valley rain and mountain snow really start to take shape. Winter weather advisories for the mountains of Southwest Montana from 8 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning, about 3 to 6 inches of accumulation over 7,000 feet. So most of this should stay above pass level tonight. That will change into Tuesday night and Wednesday. Snow levels will fall all the way down to around 5,500 feet. Could be talking about at least some light accumulations for our passes along Interstate 90 and then down into southwest, or down along the state line with Idaho. Right now, the main focal zone, I think, of accumulating snowfall, or at least that greatest concern of that, and the higher elevations will be from Dillon back over towards Bozeman and areas south and east from there. Depending on the track of the low pressure system as it develops, that's going to be the big question mark, something we'll keep a close eye on throughout the day today. And then after that, we're just going to be stuck in this pattern of off and on showers each and every day all the way through the weekend. Could see some beneficial moisture. We'll certainly take it. Maybe 1/10 to as much as 1/2 inch for northwest, west central Montana, at least through Thursday. Southwest Montana has the best likelihood of maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Not everybody's going to see those types of totals. Some places will be higher, some places will be lower. So that's pretty much everything that I have for this evening. Depending on how things evolve today and into tomorrow, I may jump on for another YouTube Live tomorrow morning. More talking about that potential for travel impacts over Bozeman Pass, but if it looks like things are going to stay on the relatively quiet side, I may pass on that, but certainly tune into our live broadcasts tonight at 5, 6, and 10, and then again tomorrow morning Me and Jason Hurst will be back for the latest news and weather updates on NBC Montana today, starting at 5. And I think with that, I will start to wrap it up. Have a great evening. If you have any photos or videos of the storms, the snow potential, the spring weather, as always, feel free to share those with us at nbcmontana.com/chime-in. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all in the next one with NBC Montana. I'm meteorologist Mitchell Combs.